So I don't know if people saw this. This is from Alan McLeod. He's one of the head writers of Mint Press News. And he states, breaking, the United Nations have today overwhelmingly voted to condemn Israel's ongoing occupation of the Syrian Golan Heights. The only countries voted against this resolution is Israel, United States, Canada, the UK, Australia, Marshall Islands, Micronesia, I think that's how you pronounce it, Micronesia, and Palau. I'm not a world traveler, so I can't I can't pronounce the foreign names, but so Israel right now, they overthrow the Syrian government. They took down Bashar al-Assad. They put up an actual terrorist, a former member of Al Qaeda, to lead that country. The country is now in shambles, and now because they have no official government in Syria, Israel is now grabbing land territory, which is something that they've always wanted, which is why they supported and backed and cooed that government so they can overthrow it and take some of that land while there's no one to back the Syrian people. So they just did a resolution, the United Nations, and those are the countries that are against it. And it may be because those countries don't have the fortunate viewing of CNN. Those countries don't have the wonderful dramatics and theatrics of a CNN journalist like Clarissa Ward here. So Ben Swan, who does really good investigative reporting, does the Truth on News or Truth in News segments that are really incept and really take a deep dive. He shows this. It says Clarissa Ward, the CNN journalist who once faced being under attack by Hamas, we're going to show that later, claims to meet with a political prisoner allegedly held hostage in one of Assad's supposed political dungeons. So this is CNN falsifying a story to make it look, again, to change the rhetoric, to make the Syrian government, the Bashar al-Assad government, make that look like a bad guy and what we did over there good. So they're cultivating the story. They're making a false flag, just like they did beforehand with the Syrian story of gassing his own people. That was debunked. Journalists have debunked that, including Aaron Mate, who won an award about that. And that was clearly debunked. People knew that that was a hoax done to bait people into this war that's backed by the CIA, the Pentagon, Israel, ISIS, Al Qaeda, all these players that are coming into Syria to pretend to have a civil war when really it's geopolitical implications that are storming into Syria and devastating that community. But here's CNN making up this story because they want to entice people to think that the Bashar al-Assad democratically elected government is such a dictatorial place, and the guy that we just put in there, the terrorist, is a good guy. He's a freedom fighter. And this is how they entice people that are watching CNN. So watch the theatrics of this, because it's hilarious.
I can't tell though, it might just be a blanket, but it's the only cell that's locked.
Is he gonna shoot it?
The guard makes us turn the camera off while he shoots the lock off the cell door.
So why, first of all, they're going to this prison to apparently a guy who's been there for many months as a political prisoner, even though the political prisoner was not captured by Bashar al-Assad. He was captured by the forces that the United States and Israel have occupied. They play into these militias that have devastated Syria, brought people into these prisons, and then used them as political prisoners to again impose the narrative that Bashar al-Assad is such a bad dictator. We don't know that for sure, but that is the political prisoner was definitely not there by his own government. It was done there by al-Nusra and the White Helmets and other militants that were brought to you by the CIA and the Pentagon and Mossad. So this has been a global war ever since. But why would they need to turn off the camera to shoot down, to open the door, to shoot the lock open? Why would you need to turn off the camera to show that you're going to break off the lock? Like, why would that be necessary? Why is that necessary? Unless you don't want to show people that there was no need to bust open that lock. Like this, that would be the most convincing part, to show people you had to break down the lock. You had to shoot it down. There's more to this.
We go in to get a closer look. It's still not clear if there is something under the blanket.
Oh, it moved. Is there someone there?
So they go to this random jail cell. They see that someone's covered in a blanket. The reporter says, "Is someone there?" And he doesn't move. He doesn't move for an instant. You think with all the noise, you think with the guy using his gun to bust open the lock, a prisoner would be able to hear that and wake up and react to it. But no, this guy apparently is still under the blanket, and the reporter goes over and says, "Is anyone there?" And he still doesn't move. Like, if they're going to manufacture a story, this is even the worst job for it.
I thought I saw it move. Is someone there?
So now they turned on the light. He's still not moving.
Hello?
Okay, I just
Oh.
I'm a civilian, he says. I'm a civilian.
So they had to physically get him up. And then he goes to move his hands and says, no, I'm a civilian. I'm a civilian. Who is apparently trapped in this prison for many months, but yet somehow looks like a GQ model. Do you notice that? Do you notice how well, he looks so well groomed? Like, his clothes are flattering. If you're really a political prisoner stuck in prison with no lights, no access to water, like if you're trapped in this prison, you would look way worse than you do right now. So there's already so many tells to this story. There's already so many tells to CNN depriving their own audience and lying to them right in front of their faces. And this is how they manufacture consent to continue on this war. Because they want to tell you that Syria is this awful place with Bashar al-Assad, and that's why we had to overthrow it, and that's why we had to install military camps within Syria. It has nothing to do with protecting the oil. We wouldn't tell people that. Or a pipeline that's going through Syria. That's another reason we wouldn't tell that. We wouldn't tell people the actual truth of why we're there, but we're telling people it's the humanity. So we're gonna concoct this story of a political prisoner who looks like a GQ model being trapped for months under this horrendous government, and we're gonna free him. There's gonna be freedom under the ruling of a terrorist, an al-Qaeda member. Now political prisoners are free.
He tells the fighter he's from the city of Homs and has been in the cell for 3 months.
Okay, you're okay. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay.
You're okay.
He
Oh,
clutches
clutch
my
my
arm
pearls.
tightly with both hands.
Okay. Does anyone have any water? Water.
Look at him.
My.
Look at this. Look at his face. He looked like he just came back from the spa. My God. This guy is supposedly in prison for many months, and his hair looks better than mine. And he barely has hair. Like, did this guy literally went to the beauty salon? Did they bring him to the makeup chair before they did this? They acted the skit out? Is this part of the Syrian Actors Guild or something like this? I'm very convinced. Like, this is an Oscar-winning performance. Oh, you got this actor to play a prisoner. Although it needs some tweaking. It needs some tweaking. I mean, the average CNN audience would probably just devour this because they're just completely brainless. But for anyone that notices, you're in prison. You have good, clean clothes. Very nice, clean clothes. You look well-groomed. And also...
Have any water?
Look at how well his fingers are.
Mike. Okay, it's water. It's water.
The guy's got a manicure. Oh, get the water.
Okay. Okay. Okay, you're okay.
You're okay. Deep breaths. Deep breaths.
Okay. You're okay.
The guy is fairly well groomed for being a prisoner for many, many, many months. For being a political prisoner that apparently is deprived of sunlight and fresh air, and it literally looks like a commercial. As if they were almost manufacturing and marketing the Syrian war in this way. Hey, if you continue on sending money to the military-industrial complex and allowing U.S. allies to invade into Syria, you're going to help this guy, this well-groomed prisoner, escape freely by Clarissa Ward. It's like one of those telethons. It's like the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So, this guy, Saeed Safar Mehdi, points out, tell me this is not staged. Tell me Clarissa Ward is not a soap opera actor. Tell me CNN is not an entertainment network. Tell me what I just saw does not deserve Oscars. CNN, take a bow. You have mastered the school of stage journalism. And this happens more often than people think. This happens more often than people think. You're telling me the news agencies will make up stories? Yeah. If it sells a narrative, if it sells a propaganda piece, they will make up a story. They will act out whatever story it is to sell that point, which is exactly what CNN is. It's a marketing gimmick for the military-industrial complex, for big pharma, for the big oil, for big tech companies. And they'll concoct whatever story they want to promote that agenda. So here's the Gray Zone pointing this out. Gray Zone Wyatt Reed wrote this article, Scandal Deepens Around CNN Clarissa Ward's Staggering Syria Prison Scene. In nearly 20 years as a journalist, this is what she says. In nearly 20 years as a journalist, this is one of the most extraordinary moments I have ever witnessed. This is her Oscar acceptance speech. In my 20 years, I have never done a best performance than this one. That's how veteran CNN journalist Clarissa Ward described her foray into a Syrian prison on December 12th, where she promptly claimed to have rescued a forgotten inmate after 3 months in jail. But there was just one problem with the extraordinary moment. A review of a dramatic story depicted by CNN reveals a number of glaring inconsistencies, the greatest of which that the man stand accused of being an imposter. After countless social media users shredded CNN's story, a fact-checking organization with ties to the U.S. government has exposed the prisoner seemingly liberated in Ward's theatrical performance turns out to be a low-level Syrian intelligence official jailed for corruption and abuse charges. So this is part of the regime that the United States wants to put in. So instead of Bashir al-Assad, they want to take him out, give Israel the ability to steal land from Syria, which is the Golan Heights area. They want the United States to steal the oil to get the pipeline across through it. And they're going to throw over this Syrian intelligence officer for imposing against the U.S. interests, against global interests, protecting the people of Syria. So this is all just a stage elaboration. This is not a Syrian just citizen. This is not a political prisoner. This is all staged. This is part of a prop. This is all part of their marketing gimmick to, again, sell you the story that Syria is such an awful place under Assad. And I don't know much about Assad, but I can tell you, as much rhetoric they'll tell you, they had free healthcare. They had free education in Syria. They had until the United States intervened and destroyed it, and now turned it into another Libya, which we all know what that happened with there. So CNN finally addressed the deepening scandal on December 15th, declaring it would be investigated, the subject of Ward's piece. However, the network continues to protect the correspondent responsible for the journalistic film flam while rebroadcasting the staged report for its views day after day. Of course, because it's clickbait. It's clickbait for warhawks. That's why they would do it. With Ward still stationed in jihadist-held Damascus, it appears that her bosses are refusing to allow any editorial standards or professional ethics get in the way of successful Western-backed regime change operation. According to a Western-backed fact-checking organization known as Verify, Adil Garbal, the actual Mohammed Salman, who was then identified as a first lieutenant in the Syrian Air Force intelligence, a figure they claim was notorious for his activities on Homs. Verify, which describes itself as a verified signatory of the International Fact-Checking Network and a trusted partner of Facebook in the MENA region since 2019, writes that residents of the Al-Bada neighborhood identified him as frequently stationed at a checkpoint in the area's western entrance, infamous for its abuses. Per Verify, Salma was imprisoned due to his involvement in theft and extortion, and his recent incarceration lasted less than a month was due to a dispute over profit sharing and of extorted funds. The IFCN's parent group, the Poynter Institute, has taken huge sums from the organizations, including George Soros' Open Society Foundation and the CIA cutout National Endowment for Democracy. In 2017, Poynter took in a whopping $1.3 million from OSF and Audemars Foundation, the main vessel for spending by Democrat Party-aligned billionaire Pierre Omidyar. Given its U.S.-aligned financial ties, Verify has very little incentive to undercut CNN's regime change narratives. Alongside hundreds of social media users, Verify has also pointed out that the timeline described by CNN simply defies belief. As geopolitical analyst Anand Butram noted, most humans cannot survive without water for 4 to 5 days, especially if it's without food either and in stressful prison conditions. At the very minimum, they would have extremely dry, cracked lips and mouth, severely sunken eyes, and a very tight grayish skin, and they wouldn't be able to speak coherently. Well, that's not what we saw in the video. Clearly, the guy was able to speak. He had well-groomed hands. He had clothes that were really clean and proper. And he looked like he just got a trim. Like his hair looked to point. So obviously, we know that this guy has not been staggered in this prison for months. That he wasn't denied food and water because he's a political prisoner. No, he works with the state. He works for the state. And I'm sure that this guy got financial ties by CNN, being backed by these organizations, to say, hey, play along with this and we'll give you some money. Play along with us, pretend you're a prisoner, Pretend that you're desperate in need of water so we could sell this narrative to our viewers, our brain-dead viewers that won't fact-check this, and we'll give you some compensation. That's no doubtably what happened here. The man CNN claims to have liberated shows no signs of long-term incarceration. However, and instead appears well-fed, neat, and relatively clean-shaven. Another popular post drew attention to the manicured nails of a man who was in Syrian dungeon without light for 3 months until CNN rescued him. Yeah, he looked like he came back from the spa. He looked very, very proper. And undoubtedly, without question, CNN, once again, staged their own story. And we're going to show you examples of how they've done it in the past. CNN staged the story once again to fool people, to market this, to sell you the propaganda, the narrative that U.S. troops have to be over in Syria to help those people. That we're helping the nation of Syria. We're helping the Syrians. By doing what? Blowing up their towns. By installing a al-Qaeda terrorist as their new leader. By having Israel storm in and steal land from them. By having U.S. empire, military empire, and corporations go after their farmland. Go after their natural resources. That's where we're helping the people. In order to do that, we have to manufacture a story that brings people in, that pulls the heartstrings of people, and that's what they did with this. Because people are going to look at this and go, oh, look at that poor prisoner. We liberated him. We gave him freedom. We never gave the Syrian people freedom. We never gave them a thought. So that's how we know this is all made up. That's how we know this is all done up purposely to sell that narrative. Just like they've done in the past. And Clarissa Ward has done this for many years. She's a 20-year veteran journalist that does theatrics to sell a story. So you might remember this little incident. This was at the start of the Syrian war, the Syrian escalation. And they were trying to sell the narrative of Bashar al-Assad, who was leader at the time before he got overthrown recently, that he gassed his own people. And we know that was a false story. We know that was a false flag initiative to build up war tensions. But we know that journalists like Aaron Mate pointed out how that was obviously a fake story. He went over there. He investigated. It was even reported in the New York Times that was a fake story. But CNN was trying to hold on to it in the most pathetic way possible, because here's Clarissa Ward sniffing a backpack after a chemical attack. Which, if you're trying to sell a story of a chemical attack, you probably don't want to smell the material that could potentially kill you. But she does it anyway, revealing the big game. So listen to this.
And there's definitely something that stings. These backpacks.
Yeah, there's a little something that stings. You know, they told me this town was poison. Let me. Oh, God, yeah, I'm going to die. Like, that's the obvious giveaway. That's the obvious giveaway. Obviously, if there was a chemical attack, biohazardous weaponry being blown onto people, including backpacks, you don't go and pick one up and sniff it. A potential killer substance. Oh yeah, that's dangerous. Yeah, I can almost smell it. Oh yeah. There's more to this.
Belong to Malaz and Masa, 7-year-old twins from Duma. They're a little shy, hesitant. We smelled something, Malaz says. Their mother Nur tells us they remember everything vividly. They were hiding in a basement when the alleged chemical weapons attack in Duma took place. They could barely breathe. She felt her body go limp.
So, you hear Clarissa Ward narrating that these people couldn't breathe. These people couldn't breathe. And yet she's over there. She's not masked up. She's not wearing a hazmat suit. She just sniffed a backpack. A dangerous chemical attack that potentially killed people. You're over there, not in a hazmat suit, and you're sniffing backpacks. Like, if you're going to make up a story, my God, you better do better. That's how people saw right through this the first time.
She clawed her way up, dragging her daughters. But then the other strikes began. We were between two deaths, she remembers, either from the chemical strikes or the others on the rooftop.
The smell is still quite strong. These are the things that they weren't able to watch yet.
The smell, I can smell it. I can, such a pungent, such a great CIA talking point there. I might die. I might die now. Here, I think this water might be a little poison here. I better take a sip. Yep, just like I thought. Just like I thought. I'm going to be dead. And it's sad that people buy that up. It's really sad. Because anyone with an ounce of critical thinking, anyone with an ounce of common sense can easily spot out how stupid this story is. How easy the exploitation is here. Oh, there's a chemical attack in Syria. Let me sniff the little girl's backpack. Oh, yeah, deadly. So that was back in 2015 or 2014. I can't remember exact date of that video. But here's something more recently, when they were trying to sell the Gaza story. And they were artificially in a war zone. They were trying to manufacture a war zone to make it look how deadly and dastardly their reporting was. So watch this. Another theatrical
Clarissa
police.
is on the ground right now. Clarissa, tell us what's happening.
Stand by.
Hi, John. So forgive me, I have a slightly unelegant position, but we have just had a
Forgive
massive
me.
barrage of rockets coming in here.
Forgive me. I took acting lessons at Juilliard and they told me to do deep breaths. We're under attack right now, but I don't see any missiles or any weaponry being spawned out.
Not too far from us, so we have had to take shelter here by the roadside. We're just about 5 minutes away. Gaza is in that direction. We can hear now a lot of jets in the sky. We could also hear the Iron Dome intercepting a number of those rockets as they were whizzing overhead and making impact in that direction, not too far from here. We came to this location because this was ground zero for this entire operation of carnage. Hamas militants came on a pickup truck. This was the first place where they breached that border wall, and they basically drove down this strip, just spraying.
It makes you wonder what she's holding in her hand. Is that the camera that she's holding up there to point at herself, or is that the script that she's trying to read off of? Hold on, I gotta read this painful monologue while I'm doing deep breaths. That's what they taught me in school. We're here in this war zone. I'm between the rocks right now. It's devastating. Okay? Lights, camera, action. Start the lies, start the propaganda.
Led wherever they went. We saw, in fact, I was just grabbing it before that happened and we had to hit the deck, but heavy weaponry being used. It's saying we can get up now.
By the way, that heavy weaponry that she just pulled out there, that was electrical tape. The weaponry of tape. Oh my God, they might fasten things together. Oh my God. And they said the news can't be this hilarious. I mean, this is obviously a joke of journalism. If you can't even call it journalism. Oh,
Where
there
are
they go.
we moving to? Sorry, just 1 second, guys. Okay.
Let's come up and go this way, and then.
All right, so now I can show you the scene here. This is where those militants first came, opening up fire on all these vehicles. There's a baby carriage down there.
Opening fire on the vehicles, and yet they look pristine. They look clean. There's no bullet holes. The windows aren't smashed. Like, obvious signs to tell you it is not a war zone. This may be the ranch at Warner Brothers, for all we know. Are they even in Gaza? We're in a war zone right now. It doesn't even look anything like it.
Turned over on its side. You can see over there, Clayton, if you just show in the distance there, some kind of strikes, looks like in Gaza as well. Return fire. Or is that the smoke from the rocket launches? Forgive me. It's a little difficult after being crouched in a ditch to know exactly what's been going on.
Oh, forgive me. I forgot my lines. Damn it. This is going to have to go in the blooper reel now. This is not going to look good on my IMDb profile. Guys, I'm a trusted journalist, okay? I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been lying to people and making myself look like a soap diva. I've been in a war zone. I've sniffed backpacks. I survived a chemical attack. And I also freed people from prison. Oh my God. I'm like the Meryl Streep of CNN. So there you go, folks. This is how CNN, this is how they're manufacturing consent, and this is why people that soak up to this network, thinking it's still a news network, believe the garbage rhetoric that they hear. And sadly, I know some people that do that. I know, sadly, people that eat this up thinking it's actual information when really it's infotainment. It's there to sell you why we need to go to war. Because the military-industrial complex can't survive with its own PR firm, so now they have to go to sources like MSNBC and CNN to manufacture these stories. They get these journalists to hire to manufacture a narrative that sells you the idea of, hey, you know, Syria is a bad place, or this war in Gaza, oh my God, how crazy it is. Oh my God, we need to do this. Oh my God, we got to sell you this. Even though everyone can see right through this. Anyone can easily see right through this. And if you can't, well, then really need to read up on things.